a box from Ynse, a repot and the remossing. Welcome to my channel and my 100th YouTube video. Let's open the box Ynse sent me and see what useful things he sent me. And useful it is. He collected some fresh sphagnum moss, dried and cleaned it, and was so friendly to send me some. So thanks, Ynse. Now let's do a repot or a mount, not sure what I would call it, of my Maxillaria TENUIFOLIA Bohemia. This is the orchid I brought last time from Acorn Orchids. The flower is bent, temperatures and humidity are good, so it's perfect time to do this. First, of course, I need to take it out of its pot and clean up where necessary. The root system looks fine, so I'm not going to mess with it. But since this is a climber, the supporting stake must be taken off so I can start cleaning up the dried sheets and maybe cut off the long lead. The reason why the dried sheets must be removed very carefully is that underneath them each new bulb will start throwing out new roots, and if the sheets aren't removed, the roots may start growing upwards instead of downwards. Since this species, also called the coconut orchid, likes to climb, the upwards growing rhizome can get quite long, and since the roots need water to grow, the plant needs to be kept under humid conditions. Although in theory you can cut every bulb underneath a grow point to create new plants, I'm only going to take off the top piece of the longest shoot. Here you can clearly see the dry sheets that hide the new roots underneath the bulbs and along the rhizome. When kept moist and humid enough, it will root on without any problems. Those dry sheets must be peeled off very carefully, because before you know, you tear off the new bulb too. time to put it in its new pot. Or better, this is a big piece of driftwood that I've had for many years, but never knew what I was gonna put in or on it. It's hollow and has kind of a cup-shaped pot base where I can put the orchid in. The whole thing was placed in a terracotta pot with a drip dish fastened underneath it. Now the bottom of this pot isn't flat and the drainage isn't that good, so there's always half a centimeter or a fifth of an inch of water standing in it. The bottom is covered with a thin layer of leca, and for the rest it will be filled up with the beautiful sphagnum moss Ynse sent me. And with a bit of luck it'll even start growing again. To fill up the hole in the driftwood, I'm reusing the bark the orchid came in because it's still good, and when it starts to disintegrate it'll become a good base for the sphagnum moss to grow in. After I put in the bark, I cover it with some of the fresh sphagnum moss and then the orchid is placed in it. And to secure it, I just fill in with more moss. I also put some moss in the small crevices in the wood in the hope new roots will attach to it. By tightly squeezing in the moss, it will absorb water well, but won't stay wet for too long. And in between waterings, the whole mound is sprayed at least one time a day, and when it's warm and dry, even in the morning and evening. And when I'm all done, it only needs a good watering and be put in a semi-shady place so the sun won't burn the leaves and let the moss dry out too quickly. And while we're working with that fresh, dried sphagnum moss, let's remoss these two Neofinetia or Vanda falcata that have been growing in these lotus-shaped tea lights. When I started this kind of mound, I used live moss, but because the roots need to dry out between waterings, the live moss quite quickly died. And because it's not too warm at this moment, I can quickly redo them. When I mounted these, they both were single-growth large seedlings last year. As a base for the mounds, I took 5 cm or 2-inch plastic net pots and cut them in half, and then filled them up with sphagnum moss. These two have been outside in the sheltered area all winter and even withstood a few days of freezing and near freezing temperatures. Mind you, during these very cold times, I kept them dry, and during this time they had to do with the humidity and possible fog outside. To start the new mounds, again the half mesh pots are filled with wet New Zealand sphagnum moss. Then the moss is pressed down very tightly so it won't hold too much water. And when it's ready, the orchid is arranged, spreading the roots nicely around the upside down pot. And to finish off, some long strands of sphagnum moss are put around the roots, making sure the base of the orchid isn't covered, so no rot can set in at the base of the plant. And when secured, the little mound is put back in its container and tidied up. I will do the same to the second one. And before I forget, after watering, I turn the containers upside down so no water is left inside and could cause rot on the roots or the orchids. The finished mounts back in their growing space outside, ready to grow on for another year. Thanks for watching, and until the next video.